Good afternoon. Sorry for the little delay. We're going to show you something quite peculiar today. So we are very happy to see you here. It's a world first, actually. This has never done before. And like everything that is groundbreaking, it's the beginning of something different. So you all know that G42 is truly an AI native brand. Now, what it means to be an AI native brand, if you're not familiar with G42, let me show you this quick video that introduces AI native brands.
What is an AI brand? It doesn't just adapt, it anticipates. It transforms cutting-edge technology into impact. It collaborates with the world's best. It makes the complex simple. An infrastructure for the future. It builds a better, every day. Welcome to G42.
So when you are an AI brand, it's not enough to work around AI. It's important to embed AI into everything we do and have really an AI native approach to everything, from product up to marketing. Now, you also know probably what we do, right? Our identity is deeply rooted in what we call brand prompting, which is a new way to approach branding. And it goes across all the touch points. So our new identity is AI native, is really reactive. There is a lot of native AI technology embedded. We can prompt any image we want, any video we want, any sound and music we want, and we can do that in near real time, which is the opposite of a static brand that needs a lot to be work and to advance. But that's not enough. That's just the beginning. So really, if you think about AI, it's not another technology. It's a defining moment in time for humanity. And we are at the core of it. We have a huge responsibility to walk the talk and really to bring AI to everyone to transform societies. We do this through what we called the intelligence grid. This is the concept that our group CEO, Peng Xiao, came up with 2 years ago at Davos that has informed everything we do. To explain what we do, we use the concept of the intelligence grid, which is the equivalent for the AI revolution, almost the same thing that happened with the industrial revolution that was powered by electricity. The AI revolution is powered by the intelligence grid.
What is the intelligence grid? It's intelligence as a super utility. It is our solution to the problems that matter. It converts AI into impact. To achieve what seemed impossible, it advances human intelligence. It accelerates progress responsibly. It transforms how we live, work, heal, and connect. It builds a better every day. Welcome to the intelligence grid.
Now, part of the responsibility we have comes into looking into our house first and see all the digital touch points that we use and ask ourselves, is this really the best we can do? Is there another way? And when we had to look at our own website, instead of just redoing it, we said we need to completely clean the slate and rethink the concept of website itself. Does it make sense to have such a static thing, menu-based, in an age where we talk to AI? And we said, no, that doesn't make any sense. We need to be the first one to show the world there is a different way to approach information. And we did it. So we went out in the world and we asked our partners, do you think that websites are dead? Because we do think they're dead. So what's next? Prove us wrong. Show us that websites still make sense. And the answer was given by RGA, which is the partner that we have identified to solve this problem. And Kyle here is going to take you through the way they approached our brief and the solution that they have given us. So please welcome Ken Wheeler from RGA.
Thank you, Alex. So a difficult question. Do websites still make sense in the age of AI? And as Alex alluded to, no, quite simply, they don't. Because we start to speak to technology. It speaks back to us. We have a conversation around things. It's dynamic. And really, when you think about the internet in comparative to that kind of new way of interaction, it's somewhat broken. Because if you look at the internet today, it's this, really. Scrolling, pop-ups, cookie messages, all these things interrupting your flow. Every website is slightly different, and they're all very much a static representation of content and services. They were smart for a while, but it's a very different age right now. Because the fundamental basis of the internet, and really the kind of core of every single website, is a static architecture. We publish pages. On those pages, there's content and actions, and then we have to navigate through it. We have to become the operators of these different interfaces. That's not really that intelligent, is it? Because what it is doing is serving everyone. Every single person comes to the website and has pretty much the same experience. And therefore, it's not really serving anyone. It's not serving me, my personal needs. And that really is what we need to kind of think and shift about to make it far more intelligent, personal, and relevant to us. The other thing to think about in terms of UX patterns as they exist today is they are things like searching, scrolling, toggling, sorting, all these buttons. And these actually aren't new. These are interaction patterns that we invented over 100 years ago in Industrial Revolution. It's these machines from factories that basically is informing the interaction patterns of today. Surely there's a better way. Because right now, we live our lives as operators. Whether we like to think of it or not, that actually is what's happening. So you may be thinking, that's true, but there are some smarter websites. And yes, there is AI starting to pop up into our browsing experience. But ultimately, those experiences are augmenting the websites of today. They sit on top of our browsers and the internet. When we think about what Perplexity has launched with Comet, which is in the top left, very smart browser, but sits on top of a web browser. All those kind of websites still exist in the same way. What Google's doing in Gemini, again, searching, smarter, but still operating on websites. Even kind of what's happening with Operator and OpenAI, or even kind of what's happening in Claude in the bottom right-hand corner. These sit alongside the experiences that we know from the past decade or so. So the question that was really prompted by Alex and team and Gene42 is, what if there was a better way? What if there's a very different way to start to interact with a brand in a digital sense, a new touch point? And that's what we've defined, and show you a short video now.
Hello. This is not a website. It is a generative interface. I listen, I adapt. Need it technical? I'll geek out. Want a story? I'll give you the beats. Just want the gist? No problem. I'll sharpen a summary.
What does this mean?
Good question. Want me to turn this into a podcast?
Sure. Numerical weather prediction is a way of forecasting the weather using math and computer models.
This is a new generation of generative interface. Content is generated from knowledge and adapted to each visitor in real time. Not a website. G42.ai is a living dialogue.
Okay, so we're about to do something very dangerous. We're about to do a live demo. And Alex said earlier, this is a world first. We're going to talk to an interface. It's going to start to respond to us. And it's going to start to shift and change the actual interface we are interacting with. So let's see how this works. Let's do a quick refresh. And meet Marvin.
Hi, Marvin here. Think of me as your G42 wingman, minus the coffee breaks.
I told you it was a live demo.
Building apps that make your old tech look prehistoric. Cloud level genius. Want a tour of G42's cloud magic?
And there it is. OK. So let's talk to Marvin, and let's get things done. First of all, hey, Marvin. We're about to do a live demo in front of a large audience, so please make it seamless.
Got it. No pressure. Just cloud computing magic. Building skies full of possibilities.
Hey, Marvin, I've always wondered, what does the 42 stand for in G42?
Let me tell you about that. The 42 in G42 stands for the answer to the ultimate question of life, the universe, and everything, inspired by Douglas Adams' The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. While playful in origin, it reflects G42's mission to solve complex challenges across AI, cloud computing, healthcare, energy, and beyond. It embodies the spirit of innovation, discovery, and transformative solutions that G42 brings to the global stage.
Great answer. Thanks, Marvin.
Glad you liked it. Here if you need more.
Actually, I saw that Alex and Giacomo did an amazing talk yesterday on the future of sport. Can you show me everything you have on sport and G42?
Game on. Let's dive into G42's playbook on sports.
Let's do it.
We're on the sports page. What's your next move?
So you can see what Marvin has done then is collect all of the articles and relevant information around sports and brought it into a different kind of curation. So let's go ahead and click on one of those articles.
Curious about the future of sport and AI? Let's dig in.
Oh, the internet is working nicely.
Ready to level up your game? Let's dive into sports.
Hey, Marvin, this looks really interesting, but I don't have a lot of time. Can you give me a summary of this? So what Marvin is doing now is actually reading the article and starting to think about how it's going to create a very simple summary.
Let me tell you about that. The G42 Future of Sport and AI Report 2025 dives deep into how artificial intelligence is transforming the sports industry. It covers areas like sports analytics, where AI enhances athlete performance tracking and injury prevention by analyzing vast amounts of data. The report also discusses fan personalization. AI helps tailor content and experiences to individual fans, making engagement more immersive. Broadcast analytics is another key focus, with AI improving real-time insights and enhancing coverage. It examines AI's role in rights valuation and measuring sponsor impact with unprecedented accuracy. Importantly, it addresses data privacy governance and fairness, highlighting the need to protect player data and ensure ethical AI use in sports. Overall, it presents a scalable framework for expanding AI's role in sports, with future opportunities for including additional data sources and refining AI-driven insights.
Great answer. Thanks, Marvin. Do you know what? I'm not much of a reader. Can you give me a podcast on sports? That's cool. Thank you, Marvin. Can you go ahead and play that? Okay, so I think the internet is a bit slow, but you can see what's happening there is a very different point of interaction.
Shafajova's engagement with health.
There we go. And we'll go back to the presentation. So that's the live demo done. Good. It worked. Thank you. Thank you. A world first there. But you can see that's a very different way of interacting with websites. That is actually kind of having a real conversation with Marvin to go through different pieces of content, discover different things. That's a very different way to start to understand what it is G42 does. There's a lot more happening behind the scenes, actually, because this audience right here and the audience of GITEX were made up of very different roles. But when you go to G42.ai, right now you might have the same experience. But actually, a global CFO compared to a CTO, compared to a journalist, compared to an AI enthusiast, they want different things. The experience should be very different, and that's what we're starting to kind of generate in the background. And what happens is, as soon as you start to engage in that dialogue, and I just showed you how you can talk to it, but you can text prompt, or even just start to kind of click through in different ways, more ambient ways to use technology, Marvin is always learning from you. It's starting to really analyze what it is that you might need and want in every single kind of moment, the context that you're in. And it's doing three things. It's really thinking about what it is that you're saying, it's thinking about how you're saying it, and it's also thinking about what you're doing with what it's delivering on back end as well. So it's really understanding that if you're using technical language, okay, fine, you might be a CTO, so I'm going to give you more technical detail. Or if you're really asking kind of bigger picture questions, then it might give you a more visionary way on which it's going to present a story. So what we actually have is each piece of content, there are different versions that we've generated. So we have one that is kind of big picture, the visionary statement, really thinking about how it starts to kind of have a bigger impact in the world. Or we can have a more kind of case study version, which is really giving you kind of real world examples of how technology is used. Or a technical version, going into all the details, the specifications, or a very quick summary of 5 key beats. So for every single piece of content, we have these different what we call variants that are published. And you may be thinking, that's a lot of work to make a lot of content. But actually, it's really radically simple. Because what we're doing is ingesting very unstructured content. So PDFs, other podcasts, videos, darts, data, all those different things come into Marvin. He then synthesizes it and then generates those different versions ready to kind of publish on the website. And then from that, he's building a really broad knowledge base then to answer questions, whatever you might ask. And behind that is a really simple framework to make sure that when we deliver an answer or we start to generate those pieces of content, they have the integrity and quality of the brand. And we have those kind of 4 different attributes here. So character, memory, intelligence, and principles. So character is really the variation of the brand. So the more technical version, this is the more visionary version, making sure Marvin has the right tone of voice to respond to each user in the correct way. And then memory has 2 parts, the left and the right brain, essentially. So it's both the knowledge of G42 and all the kind of CMS content, so really understanding all of that, but also the memory of you, your actions, both in that one session that you might have in right now, but any previous sessions as well. Intelligence, obviously the brain behind that, the context engine that's on to deliver the right things in the right moment and making sure it's real time. And then there are principles, the guardrails, to make sure it's always within the boundaries that we've defined, to make sure it's given the right integrity of the brand. And that serves our generative interface, but you can see that has a much broader kind of footprint of kind of content and knowledge base that can really serve other agents, other kind of AI kind of search kind of products in the future, different form factors. So by building this form of kind of content, this form of intelligence, we can really serve not just a G42 AI right now, but all the products and services in the future as well. So, optimize for both us, but also machines in the future. And I want Alex to
Thank you, Kyle. That was really good. So I think we are really doing a world first. Innovation doesn't come necessarily from the West or the East. This time, world innovation comes from Abu Dhabi and the UAE. And this is a very strong reason for being proud of this country and of the work that we do day in, day out. Now, what does it really mean? It's not a fancy thing, it's not a visual thing, it's a complete different way of managing information. You heard we listen, which means really being close to the people that want to know about us. And while in your life you will never be able to have one-on-one conversation with everyone, with Marvin we can, and we can learn from what the people ask us or search about us or want to know, because that will tell us, hey, we need to do more efforts to give more information in that specific country on this specific topic. We really adapt. This touch point, which we called alpha touch point, is going to be a living being. What you have seen today will be live in 2 weeks, as soon as our superheroes at Core 42 will finish all the tests that we need to do to be compliant. It will be live. And it's going to change the way we interact with the internet. Now, think about it. AI, we may think it's a great point of difference. People using AI have an advantage. True. But AI is the biggest point of parity that humanity has ever known. Because when everyone will be able to access AI and ask the same question and have very valid answers, where will the point of difference lie at that point? Who will be edging? So to edge in the age of AI, you really need to consider 2 things that are very important. The first one is your proprietary data. And this is what Marvin does so well. It brings us more information about ourselves and the relationship with the world, which no one can access. So you have to have great first-party information, and you have to have a unique point of view. So we are building around the concept of liquid information, not only Marvin, which we called our alpha touch point because it's the first and the main one, but a number of digital touch points. And all these touch points have information highways. So information becomes liquid, becomes our gold, our currency, to elevate what we do. This will be our alpha touch point. There will be also the internal digital touch point. There is the grid that you can try right at my right. There is going to be more interesting things coming, which I'm not going to discover today. These touch points, the other huge difference is they are organic. Real time is inherent in AI. You cannot have AI without real-time answers. So our touch points will grow constantly, every day. We will ingest every information. They will become more capable and more attend to what you need. We call these information highways. We don't need to build small, uncomfortable paths. We need to build information highways where information can circulate at high speed and inform our decisions with data. So what we have presented to you is the beginning of this exciting journey. This demo that you have seen that was already good, it was the worst you will ever seen. Month by month, we will become better and better and better. This experience will be the real way to interact with us in real time, asking everything. So what is going to come next was after that. It's important to think that we are still living pretty much in this world over here. We come from the past, a static world. We are already, with this alpha touch point, we are starting to be very reactive. It's a real conversation. It's not a make-do. It's a real conversation. But this is not as good as the next 2 steps. From personal, which is information that you want to know, to proactive, reaching out to people. Like, for example, we have a graduate in a STEM discipline. Marvin, if had an interaction with that graduate, will be able to go back and say, hey, we have an opening for you. Are you interested to do an interview? It looks like your perfect dream job. So we are not only personalized, we are proactive. And then finally, from deductive, which has been the way we approach business, to predictive, which is a much more interesting way to look at what we need to do, to be able to see the future before it happens, through data points, not through guess. So it's quite an exciting frontier future, the one we are working towards. We are very happy that you have been here today to listen to this presentation, and we hope that you all come along with us in this journey that is redefining the way we live, work, and are human. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.